Hey there, everybody. It's Bill Houston, and this is the Bill Houston Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Wanted to do a Merrimack Valley update since today is Sunday, September 8th, 2019, and the event happened 1 year ago on next Friday, which is September 13th. Friday the 13th. How about that? That's the anniversary of the big Merrimack Valley gas disaster, where 131 structures burned or exploded due to a gas overpressurization incident, which occurred about 1 year ago. So I've been wanting to do an update about this because I've done some original research on this, which you might know about and maybe you don't. If you don't, stay tuned because we're going to jump into that. Before we get into the content, I just want to say I work in the public interest and I survive 100% on donations and grants. For over 2 years, I've survived 100% on donations and grants. So I really need your help now more than ever, friends. So donations are appreciated in any amount. You can go to tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Houston, or just go to Bill Houston's fracking resume, and you can plug that into any search engine, and you'll find Bill Houston's fracking resume. And at the end of that, you're going to find my PayPal links, and including my USPS, my snail mail address, which is P.O. Box 22, Endicott, New York, 13761. Okay, so I want to begin by talking about the fact that the NTSB is wanting to wrap up this investigation. So they are going to be having a meeting on September 24th of this year. That's going to be on a Tuesday. That's about 2 weeks from now. It's a public meeting, and they're usually broadcast live on the internet, and they just want to wrap up this investigation. But I have some questions about the preliminary report that the NTSB has put out, because I don't think it makes any sense. NTSB doesn't seem to have asked certain basic questions about this event, and they may in the final report. We will see. But I'm going to outline right here what I consider to be the most glaring problems with the NTSB preliminary report. And I would hope that the final report would address these questions. I want to start out the show talking about this email that I got, and it kind of made my day. I mean, it's kind of a classic. It made me laugh. So it was from WGBH in Boston. So, I try to do as professional a job as I can, and people just ignore me. I mean, I do these white papers with lots of footnotes, and people just ignore me, and I don't know what it is. But basically, I'm a blogger. I'm not a PhD. I'm not a distinguished chair of whatever. I'm nobody. I'm just a guy. And I believe there's a place in science and in journalism for just regular people to do science and to do journalism. I think that it is a fundamental mistake and a misreading, a misunderstanding of science to think that science is all about experts, finding out what experts think, or finding out what PhDs think, or academics. We have this heavy bias towards official sources, quote unquote, official sources in America. That's just one of our, we're all guilty of it, right? When we turn on a TV and somebody's talking, oh, that's just Jane whatever. It's like, who the hell is Jane? I'm looking for an expert to tell me the truth. So we're all guilty of creating this environment. But the environment is that lay people are basically just ignored. You have to have some kind of official status. And I don't have any status. And I am a college dropout. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not smart. So I don't want to make any excuses, but I'm just saying that there are some very smart people that have achieved great things that were college dropouts, okay? And I've achieved a lot in my life. But what I'm saying is sometimes the experts don't have the answers. Sometimes the experts become corrupted, like over money for this stuff. And sometimes the experts are just incompetent. So, we always have to use our own reason our own eyes and our own ears, and any kind of pronounced scientific truth should be consistent with our observations. Anyway, I'm just saying you should be suspect of experts. Experts have their place. I appreciate my friends that are experts in various fields. But, don't switch off your reason. Don't switch off your own eyes and your brain. That's that's the final arbiter of truth for you or for me or for anybody. It's the self. It's the individual consciousness. Okay. So WGBH is a PBS SuperStation. WGBH in Boston. It's huge. I'm just so excited. WGBH in Boston contacted me. Now, I have this impression of myself that other people don't seem to have. Okay? I have this impression of myself as I'm very intelligent, and I'm a compassionate person, and I'm fiercely dedicated to my principles. I have a personal integrity. I have lived according to my own chosen moral principles. I've tried very hard to live a morally consistent life for 20 years. I've done a lot of work, environmental work, and I like to think of myself as being one of the leaders in the New York anti-fracking community and one of the leaders in the Northeast pipeline resistance. I have this impression of myself as somebody that does good journalism, good investigation, good research, and good science. Okay? So I try to do as professional a job as I can, and people just ignore me. But the point is, this time, WGBH in Boston contacted me, and they want me to help them promote their podcast. PBS NPR Superstation WGBH seeks promo help from New York blogger. That's me. I got a nice note today from Samuel Brewer of WGBH in Boston. He wanted me to help promote the WGBH News new podcast series about the Merrimack Valley gas fires produced by Sean Corcoran. And it just really made my day. Now here's the letter from Sam Brewer, so you can see that he's got an official WGBH address, email address. I blocked it out. I don't want to dox the guy. He seems like a nice guy. So I redacted his address, email address, and his phone extension. It's probably online. You can probably find it if you want to contact the guy. But basically says, "Hi, William. I know you followed this story closely, so wanted to give you a heads up that today WGBH News has released a new podcast called Fire in the Valley about the Merrimack Valley explosions that took place last September. I've got a description of the podcast below. Would you consider letting your Twitter audience, my Twitter audience, know about the story? Here's a tweet from WGBH News." And he gives me the link to the tweet right there. And he says, "All the best, Sam Brewer." And he is the Assistant Director of Media Relations at WGBH in Boston. That's pretty cool, I think. So, I must be important, right? Because let's look at this. Are you telling me that a PBS Superstation with a $400 million budget, that's like 0.4 billion, and a couple of megawatts of effective radiative power, and they have 39,000 followers on Twitter, and I have 522. Oh yeah, this makes sense. That a PBS Superstation with nearly a $500 million budget needs the help of basically a no-name, nobody blogger, hated by some and ignored by most, to promote their telling of the official narrative. Are you telling me that's what just happened? That's what just happened. I'll help promote your series. I will. But especially I will if you do your job as journalists. okay, yes, there is some value in this rote telling of the most basic, non-controversial facts of the story. There is some value to that, I will admit. But there's even greater value if you ask some basic questions and use your brain and think about it. That doesn't seem like that's what's happening here for the Merrimack Valley investigation. I see a lot of problems with this investigation, and I don't see a lot of people in the media asking questions. And it kind of looks like, I mean, I don't want to, turn anybody off with any baseless accusations of a conspiracy or a cover-up, but it kind of looks that way to me. And I'll show you the evidence later of this, because let me just tell you really quick, it's the DOT and their safety arm called PHMSA, Pipelines and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. It's FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and it's the Department of Energy. They all seem to be involved in pushing this thing, which I'll tell you about later. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but there seems to be a conspiracy of actors among the federal government that are trying to push this thing onto us without any kind of regulation or oversight. If you were to look at the Kennedy assassination, and the smoking gun on the Kennedy assassination is the single bullet theory, or the single shooter theory. The smoking gun for 9/11 is World Trade Center 7. Wasn't hit by any plane, and it fell down. The smoking gun for Merrimack Valley, I would say, that indicates that the official story is ridiculous and wrong, is the single failed regulator theory. And this is the theory that the National Transportation Safety Board has been promoting up until this point. And they promoted it twice. Once was in their third press briefing on the ground from Lawrence, Massachusetts on September 15th, the third media briefing, and then in their preliminary report that they released. So they advanced the same theory both times, and basically that a single failed regulator caused this massive overpressurization event. And what I'm telling you is, this doesn't make sense. That this right here, this NTSB theory that a single failed regulator overpressurized, I'm guessing 200 linear miles of pipe covering 15 to 30 square miles nearly instantly. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's wrong for several reasons. It's wrong. It's wrong because the network isn't a single low pressure system. I mean, that's one interpretation of the NTSB theory. The other interpretation is, okay, it was a single isolated segment that should have been impacted, but then the overpressurization jumped from that segment into other segments which aren't directly connected. They're connected via a minimum of a pair of regulators and the 75-pound intermediate pressure distribution main. So for WGBH, here's my request for you. Here's the questions I want you to ask Sean Corcoran of WGBH News. Okay? Here's the list. Ask some engineers, ask some people that know about pipelines whether a single failed regulator could have overpressurized 200 linear miles of pipe covering 15 to 30 square miles nearly instantly. Continuing with the basic questions for Sean Corcoran, can the NTSB show with maps, or can anybody show, that the entire affected area is a single manifold? Now, I'll tell you who has these maps, Senator Markey and Senator Warren. But so far, they've been reluctant, let's say, to release this information to the public. Even though Steve Bryant and Joe Hamrock of Columbia Gas indicated that these could be released to the public. So are Senators Warren and Markey part of the cover-up? I don't know. Why won't they release the data? What are they hiding? So the first question is, can the NTSB show with maps that the entire affected area was a single connected manifold? Or then explain to me how the pressure surge jumped from the low pressure segment fed by the failed regulator to the other segments which were isolated by at least 2 distinct pressure regulators separated by the 75-pound distribution main. In other words, here it is again, Sean Corcoran. Why were the fires not confined to the low-pressure segment fed by the rogue regulator? This is the key. This right here, Sean Corcoran, this is the key question. Why were the fires not confined to the low-pressure segment fed by the rogue regulator? This is the key question right here, okay? This is it. This is it. I hope you're getting that. Here's the other thing. Is it physically possible? Can we model that this pressure surge, which impacted 15 to 30 square miles, was solely conveyed by the low pressure system? That's what we're saying, right? Because the low pressure system is designed for 0.5 psi. If you put 75 pounds onto that thing, I think some of those joints are going to fail because they weren't designed to support that high of a pressure. That's 150 times. That's 2 orders of magnitude higher than what the system was designed for. And I also don't think that the entire affected area, as I've stated, is a single manifold. I think it's broken up into many chunks, many separate non-interconnected systems, or they are interconnected, but via the 75-pound main. But the official story is that the 75-pound distribution main was not overpressurized. Are we sure about that? Because it makes more sense to me. The 75-pound main was involved. The 75-pound main was overpressurized. And that the various low-pressure segments were overpressurized because more than one regulator failed simultaneously. And I think that number was between 8 and 14. 8 and 14 pressure regulators failed all at the same time. Go back and look at my previous videos. It's all there. How did that happen? How did 8 to 14 regulators all fail at the same time? That's a common mode failure. Guess what? This bozo, this non-degreed, no-name, nobody has the theory that explains it, okay? So you can listen to me or you cannot. But you as a journalist, Sean Corcoran, you should at least ask the questions, because this is a reasonable theory based on an existing practice in industry and a common, very obvious failure mode. I'm going to give you a theory based on an existing industry practice that's already been going on since 2015, 4 years, and a very simple and obvious failure mode that, you know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out. I'm no genius, but I figured this out just by looking at it. So, Sean Corcoran, here's some things you should answer. Get the answers to this. I'm not expecting you to know the answers to this now, but go find this out, because there's some anomalies in the official story. I've sent my data to the Massachusetts DPU. I've sent it to the NTSB. I've sent it to the mayor of Lawrence. I've sent it to the Massachusetts Attorney General, Maura Healey. I've sent it to Senators Markey and Senators Warren. I've sent this to every major news outlet in the Boston area that was reporting on this. And I've gotten no traction on this, other than Dr. Nathan Phillips. God bless you, Dr. Nathan Phillips. Dr. Nathan Phillips from Boston University actually takes my theory seriously. And he says, somebody should check this out. This makes sense to me. So, Dr. Nathan Phillips, God bless you. You're the one academic that has really, and I would say Barbara Arundale of Damascus Citizens for Sustainability. God bless you too. There's been a few people. There have been a few. Valdy Wiederpass, a few others that have enthusiastically supported my work. Many others. But the mainstream media largely has ignored me. So, Sean Corcoran, if you can get these questions answered, that would be an amazing public service. So let's talk about map anomalies, okay? Things that don't seem right about this. So one question is, Sean Corcoran of WGBH in Boston, why did the Massachusetts State Police initially report several sites north of the Merrimack River? And there were a series of tweets that the Massachusetts State Police made with a map. Some of the tweets were deleted because it revealed some browser tabs that had been embarrassing, but there were several tweets that the Massachusetts State Police made which showed sites north of the Merrimack River. Can you explain that, please? Because I don't know the answer. I have a theory, but it's just a guess. You're on the ground up there. You're a journalist. This is a very curious question. You should find this out. If you get the answers to these questions, Sean, you're going to get the Pulitzer Prize. Because I'm telling you, there's a story here, a latent story here. You've got credentials. You can get to the bottom of this thing. I've taken this investigation to where I can take it. I need help from here. So I need your help. And the people of Lawrence and Andover and North Andover deserve to know the truth. Don't you think? Don't you think the people deserve to know the truth? So another thing is, why does the NTSB in their preliminary report, they included a map, and why did the NTSB omit a cluster of sites identified by the Eagle Tribune? And this was a cluster of sites that are near the intersection of US 93 and Andover, I think it's Andover Street or Andover Road. This is in the western part of South Lawrence. And there's one site near Ballardvale, far to the south. Why was that excluded? And there are two sites north of Merrimack College that were identified by both the Massachusetts State Police and the Boston Globe. Why were all of these sites excluded by the NTSB? That's my question. And I like circles, like radius, like what's the impact radius? The NTSB doesn't tell us that, or the area, the impacted area. They give us this very strange shape that looks like a seahorse, or I don't know what it is. It's like some kind of a crazy clown face. Why not give us a circle? What's the impact radius? Let's draw a circle around all of the sites. What's the smallest circle that will surround all of the sites? Somebody better explain Ballardvale, and somebody better explain those three sites around US 93 in South Lawrence. And somebody better explain the sites north of the Merrimack River. Somebody better explain those, because otherwise it looks like a cover-up. It looks like the officials are hiding important data. So now, I want to tell you something that has nothing to do with Merrimack Valley. Okay, forget about this has any connection to Merrimack Valley whatsoever. And what I'm going to tell you about is these ultra high pressure tube trailers that natural gas utilities like NYSEG, like Con Ed, Consolidated Edison, and like Liberty Utilities, and like National Grid, major utilities are using these newfangled things, these ultra high pressure type 4 bulk haul, type 4 CNG carbon fiber composite bulk haul virtual pipeline tube trailers. I call them bomb trucks. They're using these things. It's a brand new thing. The truck is new and the application is new, connecting these things to natural gas local distribution systems. Okay, they're doing this. And by the way, one of them, XNG, happens to be based in Andover. Say what? What did you say, Bill? XNG, one of the trucking companies involved, one of the major truckers involved in using these Type 4 CNG bulk haul carbon fiber composite virtual pipeline tube trailers, is based in Andover? What? The place where all the fires were? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, okay. So given that, now we're back to Merrimack Valley, given that this is true, given the truth that ultra high pressure tube trailers such as those manufactured by Hexagon Lincoln and Quantum Fuel Systems and utilized by trucking companies like NG Advantage and Express Natural Gas have been used by natural gas utility companies like NYSEG, National Grid, Liberty Utilities, and Con Ed since 2015 as an alternative gas supply during peak demand and during maintenance. That is a fact. So given that this is a fact, and given that it's also true that these trailers, these newfangled, brand new, unique things that have only been on the road since 2013 in the United States, that these trailers are capable of producing natural gas at cryogenic temperatures, and yes, even LNG, you betcha, minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit. I will show you the math, baby. Which has not been possible prior to this application. In other words, natural gas local distribution systems for 70 years have taken gas at maybe 1,000 psi. More like, 600, 800 psi. Maximum 1,000, maybe 1,200 psi. The max it would ever be is 1440, but most of these laterals are reduced pressure. 1,000 psi is not capable of cryogenic temperatures, but 3,600 psi is. The pressure in these trailers actually goes up to like 4,500 psi, approaching 5,000 psi. So here's what I'm trying to say. Given that these trailers have been used by natural gas distribution companies since 2015, and given that these trailers are capable of producing cryogenic temperatures which haven't been possible before, now, what would it look like if we injected cryogenic gas at the correct pressure, but super cold, into a natural gas local distribution system? I think it would look just like Merrimack Valley. Isn't that interesting? So my question is, Sean Corcoran of WGBH in Boston, here's a big question for you that nobody has asked, and I'm telling you, there's a story here. Start with the NTSB, see if they'll talk to you. Roger Evans is the chief investigator, or talk to some of the executives over at Express Natural Gas or NG Advantage or at Columbia Gas. Find Steve Bryant. I know he's already retired, but you can still subpoena him. The state can still subpoena him, and you as a reporter can call him up and ask him some questions because he's a material witness. Call Steve Bryant and call the executives from XNG and NG Advantage. NG Advantage strictly denies it. XNG does not deny it, and they acted very suspicious when I asked them about this, okay? I talked to one of the executives over there. Here's the question, Sean Corcoran. Do you have your notepad out? Take some notes here, because this is the question that nobody's asked. Were ultra-high pressure CNG virtual pipeline tube trailers capable of producing cryogenic temperatures in use by Columbia Gas during the scheduled maintenance when the catastrophe occurred on 9/13/2018? So far, I've been bugging the NTSB and they won't call me back. But somebody better answer this question. Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't it make sense since cryogenic gas, like let's say the decompression skid that they connect up to these things before, that's the interface from the output of this thing before it goes into the local distribution system, they connect it up to one of these decompression skids. Now let's imagine the heater broke, and let's imagine these decompression skids are being manufactured, in Taiwan somewhere at a very low standard. Like, here we go, Alibaba, 13,000 to 23,000, and they ship them over here, and there's no regulation, there's no oversight, because innovation escapes regulation. Because these things are brand new, and this is a new application, the regulators feel like they're powerless to stop this stuff. They have no authority to stop it. This is the natural fact that of the world that we are living in today, okay? So the regulators can't stop this. It's an extremely dangerous thing. There have been no scientific studies of the risk or the safety of this brand new application connecting these ultra high pressure, 4,500 psi. That's almost 5 times higher than any pressures that have ever been injected into a local distribution system prior to now. So this cryogenic gas is not a phenomenon that anybody's used to. This is a new thing. These trucks are a new thing. Connecting them up to local distribution systems is a new thing. Is somebody asking? Is the NTSB just ask the question? I don't have any attachment to my theory being right, okay? I just want somebody to look into it. I just want somebody to verify these facts. Because I want to make sure that this doesn't ever happen again. And there's enough funny business going on here that makes me very suspicious. So here it is again, Sean Corcoran. I'm going to repeat this just for you. Were ultra-high pressure CNG virtual pipeline tube trailers capable of producing cryogenic temperatures in use by Columbia Gas during the scheduled maintenance when the catastrophe occurred on 9/13/2018. So that's it, friends. I just want to say thank you, especially to all of these people. These people are fabulous. These people are my donors. God bless you all. I don't know where I would be today if it wasn't for your support. I can't make this show without the support of people like this and people like you. So I really, really appreciate all of my friends that if you just like and subscribe this video, I appreciate you. If you share this on social media and share on your email lists, I appreciate you. If you have some extra cash and you want to toss it my way, I really need a significant amount of money in a short period. I need about $4,000 to $5,000 in 30 days, more like less than 30 days. So I have a serious financial need right now, friends. And if you want to email me, williamahouston@gmail.com, I'll tell you all the sordid details of my life if you think you need to know that before you toss me some cash. I do original research that nobody else does. I've been ripped off by almost every group. I feel like naming the groups right now, but people tell me, don't burn your bridges, Bill. Okay, but trust me, there's a bunch of big name NGOs that steal my stuff and use it as if it's their own. And a lot of them even malign me while they're ripping me off. So that's quite ironic. But anyway, these people, these are the people that are heroes because they support me and they support this show and they support my research. And I would love to add your name to this list. I don't have to add your name. If you want to be anonymous, just send me a note and tell me you want to be anonymous and I'll make you anonymous. I'm happy to do that. But anyway, that's it, friends. Please be sure to subscribe to the Bill Houston podcast on YouTube. Once again, it's very important to engage with the video, like it, share it, give it a thumbs up. And that's it. Appreciate you being here and hanging out. We'll see you next time.